Hel- Hello, hello. Oh yes, I have my terminal up. I was looking at the screen going like, that is very dark. Is it working? Yes, it is. Hello and good morning. Happy Friday. It is always nice to be a Friday. Weekends here. Can't wait. But today we're doing something exciting because we're working on deploying the thing that we planned yesterday. So I actually want to open that up and have that here available for us to see. We're going to be specifically working on just sec. That's all we've set up right this second for our project. We're going to have other things sort of set up for us as we need to. Now, my VPC that I set up off stream a while ago, I already have a router. A route table. I think it's a route table. I already have a route table. I already have an internet gateway. I already have a subnet, a VPC, and an availability zone. We're on US East 1. So what I need is I need an EC2 instance. I need to install Docker and sec on that. I need to set that up to like auto launch and like be just permanently up. And then I need an application load balancer, and to be able to route traffic to sec from the application load balancer. So that's what we're working on today. The other sort of like side things, I've been thinking a lot about how to organize all the code and everything else for this, and especially with Pulumi, I've been sort of thinking more and more that having just sort of like experimenting with a monorepo is where I want to go right now. Now the reason for that is I don't know, I haven't used one before, so I want this like in two different reasons really. One, I've noticed that I'm gonna want I want like, okay, I'm gonna build something out. I'm gonna want sec up. I'm gonna want Hasura up. I'm gonna want our database up. I'm gonna want probably like our REST backend up, and like maybe a front end too. I want all these things up for each app that I'm gonna build. So either I'm gonna have a separate repo for like, I would have to like go into different directories to just open those up. It feels like really weird, or I could have just a single thing that just launches all of them because they're all together in the same directory structure. That's my thought process. I'm sure we're gonna run into things that's gonna make me question this. That being said, I also want to learn the ins and outs. Like what are the positives and negatives to just doing this? So, given that, I have renamed the Brooks Builds platform. We're just going to start turning that into our mono repo for this to just Brooks Builds. So now it's Brooks Builds. That's going to hold all of our essential stuff. Courses, I plan on having just be their own repos still. The reason for that is if you take a course, I don't want you to have to download everything all at once. If you don't have the best internet connection, that's going to suck for you. That being said, it could be like a monorepo inside of a track. So it's, hey, we're going to do like a web development track. So you download everything you need across all the things. That would make sense to me too. All right, so with that introduction out of the way, Bullfrist Dad, hello, good morning. How are you doing today? I'm not exactly sure where I want to start with this. Today, we are working on deploying out this. So specifically, let's give like a no, don't want to. Oh, I can't. Oh, that's too bad. You just got back from the gym, but you boxed with power ups, so your knuckles are bleeding a little bit. Oh, I've never done boxing. Uh, yeah, I had heard that you wrap it to protect yourself as opposed to like the other person that you're or other the thing that you're punching. It's good cardio. I can imagine, right? Like the closest to boxing I've ever gotten is like the boxing games on like Nintendo, like the Wii or the Switch. Although I think I played most of the Wii ones. Oh, I guess there's the VR ones too. I played some demos. Those seem pretty good. When wrapping to stabilize your wrist though. Oh, okay. So to keep them nice and like okay, I guess you don't hurt them. The wrists. Okay. That's good to know. All right, so let's create like resources to, I guess, like to-do list. To do. Let's make you a color that's actually easy to read. Maybe slightly. This is green. Let's change this to like the. I don't know. We can do that. Then green is going to be the color of what we're working on. Oh, Envision? Yeah, so this is Envision freehand. So we need you. I need the EC2 instance. And I need the Docker with sec. And so with both of these, I want to turn you into the same green. And we'll use these lines to sort of track what we've managed to do. So it's just 3 things. Reminds you of Unreal Engine blueprints. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's like whiteboarding apps are my favorite sort of like apps that have come out of the pandemic times, because they really allow you to I don't know, just like it's just like a normal whiteboard, except it's a little bit easier to use. And I think like the apps that people are coming up with beforehand for like team coordination were a little bit too opinionated, and whiteboards are just the easiest thing in the world to use. At least I understand that they might be a little bit harder to make. All right, so I have all these things. These are all up separately, so I'm not exactly sure where to start. Well, okay, I can't put this in, so like I can't create this to point in to here. Oh, I guess this one also would be green, wouldn't it? So I can't create this, and this can't go inside of. Okay, so an EC2 instance, I believe, is the first thing that we want to create. And as I described probably right before you joined in, Bulfer's dad, is we're going to be playing with, I'm experimenting with a mono repo style. So I renamed this repo, although not the directory this is in, to just Brooks builds. So I can actually do that right now. And let's see. This Pulumi project is for the front end the website. So we have like the actual web application. And if we LA the web app, that has the actual like cargo app inside. So I'm thinking I'm gonna make her a platform, and I want to move. Okay, so we'll do Pulumi, probably not the README. Cypress, The dist folder, yeah, probably dist, and the Docker Compose YAML. That one I'm not completely sure of. That's for the front end launching. Here, for right now, we'll just move everything over. So, just Docker Compose YAML, index, node modules, the package JSON stuff. Start VS Code, I probably want to keep here. Let's see, ts config JSON. And I want to put that into web app. No, that goes into. I also want to move web app into platform. Okay, so this is all we're left with. Just our README, platform, and start VS Code. So if I want to now create a sort of like the generic infrastructure that we're using, so I'm going to create a new directory called infrastructure. And we're going to Pulumi init here, or Pulumi new. I want to use AWS, TypeScript, project name. This is going to be Brooks builds infrastructure. The cloud infrastructure for Brooks builds. Let's start with prod. That's all we're really going to have to begin with. US East 1, that's fine. And it's going to do a bunch of like npm installs. Okay, so if I were to run Pulumi up, I believe it would try to create an S3 bucket for me, which is not necessarily what I want. So I'm going to move you over here, and we're going to open up VS Code in that directory. That is a lot of pending changes. So let's see, deleting all these things, that's probably fine. Is it node module stuff? Okay, so added get ignore, our index.ts, package.json, package.json, these are fine. Our stack information, those are good too. TS config, that's fine. Cypress.json, okay, so that should be good. Docker compose, more Pulumi stuff. Some more, so okay, still in Cypress things. But then we get into node modules. Okay, so I want to, outside of here, let's do a get ignore out here, which we have. I just have this like slash node modules. I'm gonna want to just remove that. Okay, then that significantly makes it a lot better. So that git ignore, package lock, JSON, test config, okay. All right, that is significantly much better. Okay, so what do we got? Status, so just all those files, renamed, deleted. Our git commit is gonna be, what am I thinking? Moved into, or I guess like transitioning to mono repo style. I can push that up later. All right, nothing's ready. All right, so here we are inside of the infrastructure folder. All we have is the Pulumi file that sort of like starts us off with a new project, which I think is going to be fine. What we're going to want to do here is start using Pulumi to create the infrastructure that we want. The way that Pulumi works, if you haven't seen it before, is it is really cool. It's code that we get to write, and it creates Terraform stuff behind the scenes, and then updates our AWS infrastructure. You can also use it for other clouds, which we don't really care about, because I'm only using AWS right now, but I could switch to something else. Okay, so what do I want to do with this? We know we're going to start with creating okay, so something I've learned a while ago is we're going to start with an async main function, so I can get async await going. Some of the resources sometimes require async await, and then if I export, so if I export async function, like a main function, for example, you're gonna return a promise with just an empty object for right now. We can create this as an interface. Actually, the only time I'm ever going to use any here is right here. Come on. Oh, it's up here. That. So now I can use await inside of here, and we're going to call main right away. Okay, so there's that. Whatever I return here is going to be displayed to the screen as sort of like the export modules, and I can sort of like begin creating our resources here. So the first thing we decided to create was going to be an EC2. So we want a function create EC2 instance. We haven't done that anywhere else, so I don't feel necessary yet to create a utils somewhere else to do this. Right. Create EC2 instance. I don't know what I'm going to pull in. We're going to return a new EC2. And I'm not completely sure. AWS EC2 Is it like just instance? Probably just instance. All right, so the name of this name is for exported purposes. So we can see that. So actually have the name passed in here. That's all you seem to care about. You don't need anything else, huh? There almost always is some other arguments we can put in here. But all of these are question marks, which means they are not required. But I'm always like a little bit concerned if they're not required. That means there's defaults set for them, which may or may not be what I want. We can also go take a look at the documentation for this. Let's see. This is the documentation we were looking at before. Let's go find one for actual EC2. Okay, so here's our EC2. We're looking at instance here. Provides an EC2 instance resource. This allows instances to be created, updated, and deleted. Okay, this is... There we go. Make that entire nice, bright white part of it. The that's the dark mode is not necessarily the best here. Okay, so they have some basic examples here, but we could also just go down and look at the information. So we see args are not required, and it shows instance args is their type. So if we come down, here is the instance arg, so AMI. The AMI to use for the instance required unless launch template is specified, and the launch template specifies an AMI. Okay, so this is required, but because this entire thing allows for two different pathways through it, it's not, like the type system isn't requiring it, but it's going to be required. We could have a launch template. We might want to create one eventually, but for right now, AMI. So we need to have AMI. AMI type is a string. We can come up and also look at their examples to see what AMI is. Ooh, okay, so Ubuntu. Oh, and Ubuntu is, okay, so they do an AWS EC2 get AMI, most recent true, filters, get by a name, where the value is this. Okay, so they do this entire big thing to grab the most recent Ubuntu image. Interesting. I probably want to do the same thing. So I've been thinking about this. Do I want to go with the Ubuntu AMI or do I want to go with the Amazon Linux AMI? I've heard that the Amazon Linux AMI is a little bit more efficient than the Ubuntu one, which means we might be able to get a few more Docker containers on it than an Ubuntu one. That being said, it's been a while since I've done anything Fedora style, and the last I checked, which was a while ago, the AWS AMI was based on Red Hat, and Ubuntu is obviously based on Debian. I can apparently use star, so I wonder if I can use values of like something else. Okay. So first of all, there's this get AMI here. So right away, I now know I need another function, get AMI. So get AMI. So I'm creating the wrappers for these functions in case they change. I can I just update it here and not in the main code. And so this is going to be an AMI. Okay, so return. Okay, so this one is this mine? No. Yes. Let's change you to AWS AMI. There we go. That's what I want. Okay, so it just has arguments. All right, so owners is required. Owners is an array of strings. Whose owner is that? Okay, I want to come back here and actually take a look at this. So there's AMI copy. I think functions is down at the bottom. Here. Here it is. Get AMI. Use this data source to get the ID of a registered AMI for use in other resources. Two invocation forms are available. The direct form accepts plain arguments and either blocks until the result value is available or returns a promise wrapped result. The output form accepts input wrapped arguments and returns an output wrapped result. Either way, it doesn't really matter to me. It should be fine. So get AMI returns a promise, so we're going to have to await that. Owners. List of AMI owners to limit search. At least one value must be specified. Valid values and AWS account ID, self, the current account, or an AWS owner alias. So I can say Amazon here. This is who I want, is a string of just Amazon. Executable users, limit search to users with an explicit launch permission on the image. I don't need that. Only this one is required. Filters. One or more name value pairs to filter off of. There are several valid keys for a full reference. Check out describe images in the AWS CLI reference. Okay, so I do have the AWS CLI. So if I do AWS EC2 okay, there's the describe images. Describes the specified images, AMIs, AKIs, and ARIs available to you, or all the images available to you. So I have not created any, I don't believe, on this account. Or if I have, it was a while ago and I deleted them. Okay, and then we can figure out what the filters are going to be. If you specify all public AMIs are returned, probably more than I want. So I want owner's value. Okay, so the name of the AMI. Okay, so what I might want to do here is open up you on this side. I want to head into my AWS account. Okay, got it. I want to go just take a look. If I were to start up a oh, my forecast went down. It's down from 64 cents to 59 cents. Well, that's nice. Okay, so let's see. What was it doing? All right, we want to go to EC2. Inside of EC2, I'm going to go to instances. I'm just going to click launch instance. I think it should be fine to show. So I would give it like a name of what this instance is going to be. I want the AMI, okay, that we're going to go. I want free tier available. Amazon Linux 2 AMI. So this is probably what I'm going for. The latest kernel is fine. So Amazon Linux 2, and then I can also go for Ubuntu, which this is the only one available for me for free tier. Oh no, they also have this one. Are they the same? They have different AMI IDs. They're both ARM. They both have the same version. Oh, this is 20, this is 22. Okay, got it. So let's go to Amazon Linux. I want to try them out and see how it feels. Here is the AMI ID. We could just go with that, but if I wanted to do a search for it, this is the name. Amazon Linux 2. Okay, so I'm gonna back over here to reference it. So to begin with, okay, we have owners Amazon, and is that where are you upset? Oh, this is a promise. Promise with an AMI inside. Actually, I think it's like a promise output, isn't it? Oh, it's a get AMI result. That's what we get out of it. So if I just do this, give me owners Amazon, and in main, I'm gonna want to call you don't know what I'm getting out here, so I'm just going to have this be in the return section. And now I believe I can just do a Pulumi up, and this should show me the output there. Pulumi up doesn't actually do it right away. It's basically just previewing. It's like it's going to be in preview mode and say like, hey, do you actually want me to do this? And then I can click yes or no on it. This is the longest part. I wonder if it's taking a long time because it's actually trying to get literally every AMI in existence. And we're going to have to filter that down. That might be what it is. Okay, one error. My query returned more than one result. Okay, they literally only allow us to... Okay, so our get AMI has to return one result. So we have to have a filter. So filters. That is a get AMI filter. One or more name value pairs to filter off of. There are several valid keys for full reference. Check out. Describe images. Okay, so if I go in here, it's gonna be name and values. The name of the AMI that was provided during image creation, and then okay, so filters is going to be an array of these. So name. And then values is interesting. The name of the AMI that was provided during image creation. I think we can also look at name is name. Root device type. Virtualization type. I guess the name is the top level thing. So in this case, it would be Amazon Linux. I suppose it could change. So if I do Amazon Linux star, I don't really understand the value. Oh, that's okay. The value would be the Amazon Linux too. I don't know what they would name that as a name of. Would that just be name? Okay, so filters would be name. Values. Values. Oh, okay. Is an array of strings. So whoa. Thank you. But no thank you. Okay. Okay, so in this case, this one's going to be Amazon Linux 2 star. Like what's unique about this one? So if I search for Amazon Linux to AMI. Oh wow, okay, so they have two that are very, very, very similar together. One that's a kernel 510 and one that's a kernel 5. Okay, so I might want. Oh wait. There was like a latest, wasn't there? Where I can then say, "Get me the most recent true." Okay, that might work out. So then, most recent true. So in this case, I want Amazon Linux star. Okay, let's try this again. What? Oh, I did a command K, and then it did its thing, and then immediately killed the screen after that. Okay, I got my query returned no results. Okay, so I went from more than 1 to 0. Well, that's not good. Okay, so maybe I want Amazon Linux with most recent to true. Owners Amazon. No results. Okay, so that's clearly not the way to find it. Back to the documentation. This other one where it was the instance had an example of how to get an Ubuntu image. So here, filters, so most recent true, filters, name. Oh, so like this is what it ends up looking like. And so I think that's what they were suggesting, is that we might need to use the AWS describe images if I do owners Amazon. Okay, so I can say Amazon. This is probably why it takes forever, is that the AWS CLI takes forever to just get the list of images. These are all images from that Amazon has created. Creation date 2009. That's a little, okay, 2016, that's a little old. So I want to filter this. Okay, so here's like a name. Okay, so okay, tons of things in here. Okay, so there's way more things than we actually care about in here. So specifically, we want an Amazon Linux too. We might have to go to the actual AWS documentation. AWS, CLI, scribe images. Okay, so I can also give it a region. Although I think my default region right now is US East 1, so that should be fine. I could just give it an image ID that I want to be using right now. That could also work. Okay, so I can do a query. So filters, name equals tag, type values, custom. No, I don't want custom. That being said, let's see. I absolutely can grab the AMI ID from here. Okay, so what is this? This is kernel 510. Here's the AMI ID. So I think I can do filters ID is this. Now, what I'd really want to do is use this as a stack item. I want to test to make sure this works first, and then we'll turn this into a config item we pass in. Filter ID is invalid. Okay, so that is not right. Well, that's like output. Okay, filters, image dash ID. So I bet it's going to be filter name. Okay, filter name, image dash ID, and then I can put that in there. Aha, okay. Creates, I got my message. That doesn't really give me any information from this. But it found it clearly. Okay, so next up. So we get specifically we get the AMI that we're interested in. I'm actually curious. If I remove you, does Does it know to call main automatically? I forget whether or not that actually does anything, or if it's just gonna exit out. It's taking enough time that I think it might actually work still. No, it's not working. There's literally nothing inside of here that it would do. Oh, maybe, but there was nothing there either. Ooh, maybe this will work. Okay, so this gives us our AMI. So this is Amazon Linux AMI. I then want to probably pass this into here. So this AMI is AMI to use for the instance required unless launch tempo is specified in the launch tempo. So let's pass in an AMI here, or we can actually just grab it inside of here too. I don't know. And AMI is going to be this entire thing. So is it the ID that you're interested in? All right, back to our documentation. So EC2 instance. Okay, so we have our AMI. Associate a public IP address. So I don't want to give this EC2 instance a public IP address. The idea, even though it's going to be on a public subnet, that doesn't mean I have to give it a public IP address. The idea is that the load balancer is going to reach into it for that. So I don't need that. I might want to do it for testing purposes initially. This doesn't tell me what it's going to be. So I can also like just create this and just sort of like see what it was. What I want to do is make sure that the free tier stuff is all set for me, because I don't want to pay. I don't want this like to launch some really large instance because Pulumi decided, hey, that's probably what you want by default, right? So CPU core count, I don't really CPU threads per core, if set to 1, hyperthreading is disabled. Interesting. Oh, API termination. Okay, so basically, do I want to protect it from accidentally deleting? Eventually, like, I might want to. Eventually, we're probably going to want a launch template that will configure the instance and like install Docker and all that other stuff. To begin with, I just want to create one and probably SSH into it, which that does mean I want a public IP address, doesn't it? So associate public IP address, we'll say true for right now, but that's going to become false as soon as we like, I'm probably going to build the entire thing, make sure it works, figure out the automated thing, tear it all down, and then have it automated come back up again. So the IP address will change anyways. Interesting. Security groups is deprecated. Use of security groups is discouraged, as it does not allow for changes and will force your instance to be replaced if changes are made. To avoid this, use VPC security group IDs, which allows for updates. Okay, that's good to know. Especially to begin with, we're going to be storing the data directly on this EC2 instance. Okay, so I wonder if we're going to have to give it the subnet ID. Okay. Oh, right. There's also the user data for it to like auto update, like what scripts to run to begin with. So maybe that's in the user data as opposed to the launch template. And then our VPC security group IDs. That means we're gonna want a security group for SSH in. So if we look at this, if I just do that, VPC security group IDs, this is going to be an array of strings, and it's the IDs. Okay, so create SSH security group. Okay, so description. Security group allowing SSH into a resource. Okay, so egress rules. Egress is configuration block for egress rules can be specified multiple times for each egress rule. Each egress rule, egress block supports fields documented below. Is that an object? No, it's going to be an array then. Okay, so from port. I want this to allow out everything, but we can also just be very, very specific. But I think I can say like from port 0, right? Protocol. I think we can just say all. To port 0. Let's see. Cider blocks. Everything. Description. So this is allow everything everywhere. IPv6. I'm not using IPv6, so I don't need to worry about that. Prefix list ID, security group. Okay, if I want other security groups, I can add that in. Okay, so that's... okay, this is fine for that. Ingress. It's probably the same thing. Okay, from port. So we want... it's 22 for SSH. So from port 22. Protocol is going to be TCP. To port, just allow port 22. CIDR blocks. I don't want to expose my IP address, so we're going to allow everybody. I should probably set up some like other VPC or something like that I could then allow from. That would be interesting to do. Is like set up something else that I can SSH into. Oh, I can use a code space for this too. But for right now, you are everyone. AMI. Oh, it's because I forgot a comma, so it freaked out. Description. So this is gonna be allow SSH from anywhere. Yeah. And that's it. Okay. Name of this security group. So we're gonna say allow SSH. Name prefix. Revoke rules on delete. I don't know if I need that. Tags. Okay, so I don't know if I need tags for this. I'll just leave that off. And then a VPC ID. I wonder if it's going to figure it out because I only have one VPC heck in all of AWS right now. So this might just work. So we're going to create a security group. So const security group equals create SSH security group. So I wonder if I tell it to create this, let's, then we'll go take a look at it and see if it actually created, because if it does, then I should be able to now use this inside of here. So we create this. We know there's a security group in here, so security group is going to be a security group, and then VPC security group IDs is now going to be a security group dot, I guess the ID of it. Yeah, that one's not finding it. So I think I need the main thing where I call main. I wonder if I need to export the result of it. Like if I actually just call main without returning a promise, I don't know if that would work. And so then we want to create an EC2 instance from this. Okay, so is there... We have availability zone, capacity... instance type. Oh, instance type. Okay, so I want to specify this to be as small as possible. What are you? Are you you're a string. So I want this to be like a t2.micro. which is that's the free tier. How are you doing? Okay, so now it knows to create this SSH security group. Okay, perfect. So then let's go ahead and say, sure, create that security group. In the meantime, I'm going to continue figuring this out. So instatype T2 micro. Security group, we're setting up that. The defaults and everything else I think is going to be fine. Okay, that's pretty much what I have here. So let's see, how are you doing? Error created. No default VPC for this user. Oh, okay. So I need the VPC. So for our security groups, you need a VPC ID. That is going to be a string of some kind. I could just give it the ID of the VPC, or I could have it get the ID and find it. And I do wonder if that would be possible. So I could mark this as a string, but I think that I'm going to need another function for getting the VPC. Function get VPC. We're going to return. Okay, so there's this get VPC from AWS EC2 VPC. Oh, that's going to be not work. Okay, hold on. AWS EC2 get VPC from this. Arguments. Okay, so nothing is required here. So I'm not getting the default one. Filters. So default, false. I can get it by CIDR block. I can get it by the ID itself. Okay, so I have to get it from something. And if I'm going to pass in the ID anyways, then, okay, I might as well pass this in, just get this in a config. So we're going to do a const config equals Pulumi config. Okay, so this is going to require me to have a VPC ID as in like a config. To create the config, I can do a Pulumi config set VPC ID. And I need to go find what that is. Is $50 an hour too high of a wage for a QAE? Let's see. $50 an hour. So that would be, let's see, generally just double that, and that's around, so $100,000 a year. I assume this is US. $100,000 a year. It depends upon where you're working, right? Because if you're in like the Bay Area, I would say that's probably too low. If you're like in someplace else, like remote contractor US role, it depends. Like there's a lot of it depends. So are they going for like, you're not really just doing like quality assurance stuff, you're automating the entire process, in which case you're more of an engineer. Like the quality assurance is really there to show like what your role is, but you're going to be doing mostly programming type stuff. So in that case, no, I don't think that $100,000 a year is too much for something like that, because that's full on coding. So I think that's acceptable and understood. Like I think that would be fine. Now is this you're requesting it, or is this them offering it? King, hello. 100,000 a year is a joke. It depends. It depends upon where you're working and where you're doing. There are people in the Bay Area making significantly more than that. Or if it's too small of a number, then yes, that it could also be seen. But there are some places where that is extremely high, and like you will never make that unless you're like senior. Sometimes not even then. Like it really depends. Places and different countries. There are so many different variables for like the pay amount. Most recruiters are trying to push you towards 35 to 45 an hour. So yeah, it's going to end up being a lot of negotiation. So like, especially since you're remote, there's a little bit more of a power dynamic on their side, because they're going to constantly say, well, if I wanted to pay that, I'll just walk out the street and like pick someone up locally. So hopefully you'll get some good results negotiating that. I wouldn't say it's too much to start with, and then you set that as an anchor point in your negotiations, and then if you need to, it goes down. It's very hard to negotiate up. So if you really want, you might want to start slightly higher, just in case, like 55 or even 60. Depends. There's all sorts of tricks when it comes to negotiations. I'm terrible at it, but I know the basics of it, but implementation, I am not the best. I usually rely upon someone else to help me out and be in there during the negotiation phase. If I'm just left on my own, it's not always the best thing. All right, so here's my VPC ID. So I click on you, copy you, and we're going to set you there. That now is available here. And so now I can pass you in. Now this gives me a string, right? Yeah. So now I pass in the VPC ID, which then gets set here as a string. Okay, so if I save you, let's try this again. And I don't even know if I have, okay, so I have like the front end web, like website up and running. I'll have to check to see what other things I have on this VPC, because I might want to move this all, like the creation of this, into Pulumi 2. Failed. Property assignment expected. Oh, It's a TypeScript error. Hold on. Yeah, 2 commas, generally not allowed. Let's try this again. You're in luck because since in Brazil we're aligned with New York time zone, taking priority over India. Oh, that is nice. Okay, so it's gonna try to create that. Let's go ahead and create it. Now, okay, so we create a security group. The security group is gonna allow SSH in everywhere. And then eventually I'm gonna wanna figure out some way for me to limit this to like a, well, actually, you know what I'd probably do? Because I have SSH in here, in its own security group, I can, after we set it all up, remove the security group from the EC2 instance when we create it. Also, it won't have a public IP address, so that will also help out. That way, nobody can SSH in. It will just, I'll just have it removed and not add it in. So we'll go ahead and add this in, only the things that we actually need to get going. Okay, so it created a security group. I should come over to my end and go to EC2, security groups. Okay, so one thing I noticed, it doesn't have a name. Oh, King. Dude, there was... You got hit by this thing. Let's see what this... Oh, it's from Leak Code. We're not doing Leak Code stuff right now, so I will not look at that right now, but... problems, letter combinations of a phone number. I mean, those type of things I'm not the best at. I probably could eventually figure it out, but I don't really do those on stream too much. So I'm gonna refund you on that one. I also saw that you put that in the request too, and that URL went through. Banzi would be buying 2 luxury apartments a year with that money. And yeah, it really goes like different places. Like if you try to live in like the Bay Area where like they're paying like $250,000 to $500,000 a year to like senior developers, there's no way that you can afford like a house unless you're making that kind of money, because that's just like the area. That's what inflation in that specific area is. It's very like hyper local inflation. I don't know what the term for that is, but it's very fascinating. Like here in Denver, where I am, in Colorado, it's not as bad, but there's a lot of people moving in, so housing is starting to creep up quite a bit. So we'll get there eventually. But there's some places where you can go and buy a mansion for like, you know, $65,000, something like that. Okay. Bay Area is wild. I used to live there. It is wild. I love visiting, but traffic is crazy. I am not a fan of traffic there. Okay. So one thing I noticed, my security group doesn't have a name. I gave it a name, but this allow SSH is, oh, okay, I see. There's security group name, but then under security groups, there's also a name, which is a tag. So I want to create this as a name. Let's do... We'll create tags, and in here we'll have name, and that is going to be this name here. I should be able to do another Pulumi up, it should show that I'm just going to update that security group. And the only difference is going to be the tags. So at this point in time, it becomes sort of like a fun, okay, really fast. I can now come over here, hit refresh, and okay, there, great. I now see allow SSH in that security group name. Perfect. Okay, so I have the security group ID, allow SSH. That all looks good. Inbound, outbound has one rule. So if I inspect those, I'm liking them so far. Inbound rules. Inbound rules doesn't have a name either. So that'd be, okay, ingress. Can I set a name? Oh, I don't, okay. So I can't set a name here, okay. But is there a description? Yeah, okay, so the description makes sense. So that, at least I can see that. Okay, great. And then outbound rules. Okay, that's set. Protocol all, port range all, destination, description. So that is good too. Am I working as a DevOps engineer? No. So my day job, I am a technical managing team lead of a software engineering, like a web services team. It's a relatively small team for, it's a startup that I'm working at. But I'm getting into the DevOpsy side of things because we previously had an architect. He left for another job, so I'm taking over that kind of stuff. So I have to learn all these things too. So I'm also doing this for my, these side things. So it's I've always found this kind of fun. I worked as a systems administrator for a long time, and there's a lot of overlap between DevOps and sysadmin. So that there's a lot of like cool, fun stuff to do here. Okay, so this creates that security group. I love that. So then the last thing that I want to do is I want to actually now set up, we're going to create this EC2 instance. So we got that. And now const create EC2 instance. You take in a name. So my name here is going to be up there. I guess this is going to be like I'm just going to call this testing for right now. I guess like I'm just going to call this like Brooks. I think they want hyphens, don't they? Brooks builds production. Brooks builds EC2 production. I shouldn't do production because the stack is going to be different. So Brooks builds EC2. Then the AMI. So this is the AMI we're going to use, which is this. So AMI. And the security group that we want to use. So SSH security group. You're upset. Variable create EC2 instance implicitly has an any type. Create EC2 instance does. Hold on. What am I doing? EC2 equals. There we go. Okay, and then no errors. Let's try it and see if it works. I am going to have to get ready to head out because I do have that day job I'm working at. Well, okay, it's going to create it. Let's hit go. Over here, I'm going to take a look at instances because, oh, error. VPC ID not specified. Okay, so we have the VPC ID in here. VPC ID is a string. Oh, where do you want it? Okay, so it's not VPC ID there. VPC ID not specified. No default VPC for this user. Group name is only supported for EC2 Classic and default VPC. I don't have a group name. Well, okay, never mind. I am gonna have to do this later. I don't know if I'm gonna work on it off stream or not, but we have to create. I have to figure out what this is, and I'm out of time to debug live on stream. King, so when you hire someone, what kind of interview questions do you ask? What kind of tasks do you give them? So we do a combination of culture interviews and technical interviews. The technical interviews that I like to do recently is a pair programming exercise. We're like, for example, if we're doing like a lot of front-end developments, the pair programming would be, let's pair program on create a page or something, like some components in the front-end framework. And it's a pair programming exercise, but I'm mostly having them do it. And I want to see that they can logic through things. I want to see that they can figure things out and learn it, that kind of stuff. We are not hiring QAs right now. I'm so sorry. Maybe someday, but right now we're like everything else. It's sort of like a hiring pause, as it were. But maybe sometime. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and have to take off for the day. I will be back on Sunday. We're gonna be doing something slightly different. Instead of working on this, I'm gonna take Sunday and we're going to play some Screeps. Specifically, I found a Screepsum Rust plugin. So we're gonna program a Screeps API. We're gonna do some of that stuff. What about DevOps Senior Software Engineer? We haven't hired for that yet, so I haven't figured out any good interviews for that at the time. Senior Software Engineer, I would still do pair programming exercises. I think that's infinitely better than any kind of whiteboarding exercise. I want to see how they would work with us, especially since we do a significantly high proportional pair programming during our day job. But I could explain all that stuff and like how we work at another one. I've considered creating a course for help I've become a manager, which is interesting. Come see Khajiit test cases, finest wares. Yeah, I agree. I hate those interviews too. Anyways, I have to take off. So with that, everyone, I hope that you have a great rest of your Friday, and I will see you all next time, whenever that is. Bye.